What is going on, everybody? It's Gia here representing Gia's World. And it's only right that I put my perspective, my 2 cents in the opinion of what's going on with Donald Trump, Melania Trump, his family, and the Republican National Convention, and then the entire Republican platform as well. And I feel like I'm also going to do a similar video discussing my views on this whole voting this year, the election, the candidates, the nominees, the parties, the platforms. I'm going to do a longer video or a separate video of that later on. So stay tuned. But let's talk about Donald Trump, Melania Trump, his family, and the Republican National Convention and the Republican platform and their, what they're standing on. As you all know, this week they are doing the Republican National Convention, the RNC in Cleveland, Ohio, which is like not that far from me. I live in Flint, Michigan. So Ohio's right beneath us. The Buckeye State. Oh, how I hate Ohio. Go Blue! Anyways, Michigan all day. Block M. You know it. Anyways, but it started out on some rocky, the RNC started out on some rocky terms. First of all, to me, the whole Republican platform is on rocky terms because I don't understand how in 2000, well, I understand, but you get where I'm going with this. How in 2016, you are sexist, misogynist, racist, classist, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic. I mean, just straight up a bigot. The entire party's platform is pretty much based on bigotry, okay? Based on hate and ignorance. And this is a political party in the United States of America. And then y'all go and elect or nominate Donald J. Trump. The biggest bigot that you can get as your, token. Because I also feel like a lot of this is being staged. A lot of this is pretty much a reality TV show, and the powers that be are the ones behind the camera running the show, basically. This just seems a bit far-fetched and odd. But then again, truth is stranger than fiction a lot, so. But it's just crazy, right? So it starts off the RNC with Donald Trump's third wife, she's been in the USA for reportedly 25 years. She herself is an immigrant from Svetlana, okay? She's a European immigrant. I'm going to say it again. She's an immigrant from Europe. Melania Trump is an immigrant. Let's say that one more time so we can all let it marinate, let it sink in, so we can soak up what I'm saying. And maybe you need to go on Google and type in immigrant. And then type in Donald Trump's views on immigrants and immigration. Donald Trump's third wife, this is his third wife, is an European immigrant. She's an immigrant, okay? Ironically, we all know Donald Trump, his whole perspective and platform on immigration policies and immigrants in the USA and refugees, etc. Same thing with the whole Republican platform and policy, pretty much. They're against immigration. They're against immigrants. They're against refugees. And basically, what I'm getting from this is, it's not so much that they're against immigrants and refugees. They're against people of color, refugees, and immigrants. They're against racial and ethnic minorities who are immigrants and refugees. They're against religious minorities, okay, who are immigrants and refugees. Because, Svetlana, she's from Svetlana. Melania is from Svetlana. She's a European immigrant. So therefore, she's okay for the time being to be in the USA. It's okay for her as of right now to be an immigrant for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. But other immigrants who are people of color, racial and ethnic minority groups, religious minorities, or religions that have been portrayed negatively in the media, oh no, you can't come over here. You can't be an immigrant, but Melania, she's okay for right now. Notice I keep saying as of now or right now or for the moment, because if you look at Eastern Europe and Northern Europe, there's areas of Europe where when they were, throughout history, when they were trying to come over to the USA, they weren't welcome. See, this country has a history of, telling folks what type of racial and ethnic minorities could come over and immigrant and what types could not immigrant, right? We have a history of this. Not to mention how USA was created, but let's not go there. So Melania Trump starts off her whole, the spiel for RNC. She gives a speech, and then come to find out, the speech was basically plagiarized and stolen from the First Lady, Michelle Obama. Are we really surprised here, though? I mean, once again, we're talking about somebody who, her English is not all that, and that's fine, because we understand she's an immigrant. But most people, even natural born citizens, whatever that's supposed to mean, do not, when they have speeches, somebody else writes their speeches. So we understand that other folks have, wrote the speech, doctored up, and gave it to Melania to say at the RNC. We understand that. But here's the problem, is that this whole time, Donald Trump and the Republicans and conservatives and racists and bigots have slandered President Barack Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, their children, their families, and their administration for the past 8 years. I mean, straight up disrespecting them and belittling them and saying how ignorant and stupid they are and all this other mess. But then here we are at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, and the Republican presumptive nominee, Donald Trump's third wife and immigrant, Melania Trump, gets on stage and basically says what First Lady Michelle Obama said at the Democrat National Convention, the DNC, in 2008, almost 8 years ago. And then to further the slander, to further the denial, they go on TV, the RNC, the Republican platform, other Republicans, other conservative politicians, Trump's campaign, his administration, they go on TV and they're basically like, no, this is not a stolen speech. Nothing was used from Michelle Obama's speech. I don't know what you're talking about. You guys are coming up with these asinine assumptions, blah, 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 blah. Yet, it's just like with SparkNotes. I'm a college student. I've been in college since 2010. I will have my master's degree next year in 2017. I already have 3 degrees. I'm not saying this to boast myself because I'm in debt. And honestly, I have different views on college. But I'm saying this to say I know a thing or two about writing papers, doing research. And I also have graded papers and did peer reviews of papers. I'm a grad assistant. I know these things. And we all know in the education, academia, the academic world, you're not supposed to plagiarize. In fact, in college, if you plagiarize, you can be expelled from the institution, from the university, from the college if you plagiarize. Okay? And also, there's so many, programs now where people can put in people's papers and it will pop up letting them know where they got this information from if they feel that this was a plagiarized paper. And literally, when you put Melania Trump's speech on this side, over here, and then you put First Lady Michelle Obama's speech on this side, over here, you can see the similarities. You can see how whole sentences have been put from Michelle Obama stuff into Melania stuff. I mean, and then a lot of folks who try to beat the system when they plagiarize, what do? They try to switch up a word or two, or switch this sentence to over here or down there, and it's still plagiarized. Okay? My thing is this: you could have paraphrased, and you could have paraphrased Michelle Obama's speech and still cited First Lady Michelle Obama or whoever wrote the speech in your speech. You could have said, hey, these are words from First Lady Michelle Obama, or I'm citing this from the 2008 Michelle Obama's DNC speech. You know what I mean? You still have to give credit to where you got the stuff. You still have to cite the source. You could have did that. But the hypocrisy is still going to lay in the fact that the Republicans, the RNC, Trump, they have spent years disrespecting and belittling and talking about how stupid and irrational President Barack Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, and their administration is. But then 8 years forward, here we are, present day, they're supposed to be stupid and ignorant, but yet you're stealing their speeches and trying to say it's yours. That's where the hypocrisy lies in. And I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised at anything now. Like I said, truth is stranger than fiction. And we are literally watching folks like Donald Trump be considered presumptive nominees for a major political system, political party in the United States of America. So when you see people like Donald Trump, you're fired, and, you know, we're going to make America great again. When we see people like that being considered presumptive nominees for a major political party, you don't really get surprised about anything anymore. You know, this is literally a big reality TV show at this point. Like I said on my personal Facebook page, I was like, Donald Trump and the RNC is like the National Lampoon Vacation that won't end. Like, this doesn't even seem real, but it is. So once again, truth can be stranger than fiction. Then let's go on into, you know, Trump. Trump has said all kinds of just straight up racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic, and at times transphobic things. And then he doesn't even know much about foreign policy. He doesn't know much about the economy. You're talking about somebody who's been bankrupt multiple times. And if you know me, I live in Flint, Michigan. And similar to Donald Trump, we have a quote-unquote businessman who is running our state government. He is the governor, Rick Snyder, Michigan's governor. And he wanted to run and has been running the state of Michigan like a business. And look what has been the outcome. In the city of Flint, Michigan, where I am born and raised, where I currently reside, Flint, Michigan, we have been poisoned by our governor because he wanted to cut costs and he wanted things to run efficient like a business. And when we run things like a business, we quickly learn that money trumps people. So in Flint, he poisoned the water system. He pretty much was like, look, we're going back to the Flint River water, which the Flint River water was already a contaminated source of water, which is why we weren't using it to begin with. And when we switched back from the Detroit water to the Flint River water, the pipes that we had, which were lead pipes, which should have been replaced, and our infrastructure should have been replaced and fixed, but that's a whole nother, video. When he did that, the pipes that were lead pipes ended up getting corroded by the Flint River water. And in the process of the lead pipes being corroded, lead from the lead pipes leached into our water source. So thousands, hundreds, thousands of people, hundreds of people were poisoned by lead. Okay? And we lost, people losing their teeth are falling out and rotting, people are losing their hair, people get rashes. Like me, I have a rash on my stomach. I've had it since, 2015. Here it is, 2016, a year later. I still have a rash. People were getting Legionnaires. People died from Legionnaire's diseases and lead infected water, relations of them and their health ailments and dying. All because he wanted to cut costs and be efficient and run the state of Michigan like a business. Then he also implemented the emergency manager laws, where basically you lost your democracy, you lost your local government, you lost anything. You don't have a representative now. You got an emergency manager that the governor, Rick Snyder, who's a businessman, put in these cities, such as Flint, Detroit, Pontiac, Benton Harbor, the list goes on. You can look it up on Google if you don't believe me. So now we have Donald Trump basically doing the same thing that Rick Snyder did to Michigan. I'm going to run the country like a business because I'm a businessman and I know business, man. But keep in mind, you've been bankrupt multiple times. Like, why should we trust you with the economy? when you've been bankrupt in your own personal businesses multiple times? Like, once again, truth is stranger than fiction. Like, where is the noggin? Where is the think tank? Why aren't people thinking about what's going on here, right? Not to mention, Donald Trump has absolutely no experience in policy and politics. He has no experience in that. Neither did Rick Snyder. Like I said, this person was a business person. Just because you can run a business doesn't mean you can run a country. Okay? Because people are not dollar signs. Okay? People are humans. People matter. Their lives and their well-beings are important. They have value and they matter. You can't put dollar signs over, people. And we have to understand that. But that's a whole... So, going back to Melania Trump, was it an ignorant move on Trump, his administration, and the RNC, and then having her get up here and that this speech is basically the same speech that First Lady Michelle Obama said 8 years ago? Yes, that was a very stupid, ignorant move. But once again, are we surprised? Like I said, you have Donald Trump as your presumptive nominee. So at this current time, I'm not surprised that something like that even happened. This has been going on for the past year with Donald Trump running as the nominee in the first place. So, not surprised. All I gotta say is, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, liberal, conservative, moderate, independent, Green Party, Libertarian, whatever political, policy or social economic ideology that you believe in, that you support, you need to think and you need to do some research and you need to become informed and really take the time to get to know who these candidates are, what their platforms are, what their policies are. And once you're informed and you've had time to think and mull over the situation at B, then you go and vote, or if you choose to vote. Because I understand that there's people who are not going to vote and they never have voted to begin with. And you know what? That's your right. You do you, boo, because I'm going to do me too. Okay, boo? But this is crazy. Like I said, this is a big reality TV show. I mean, and like I said, the powers that be are sitting behind controlling it all. And it's just sad. But that's my 2 cents, my perspective on the whole Melania Trump botch speech that basically... it was stolen from First Lady Michelle Obama in 2008 when she gave the speech at the Democratic National Convention. And then as far as Trump, I just see him as being a very ignorant, closed-minded idiot. And I see his campaign as being very ignorant, closed-minded. And I see the RNC, the Republican National Convention, and the Republican Party in the USA as being a very closed-minded, bigoted political party. So that's just been my whole 2 cents. But as I said earlier in this video, I will also be doing a video about the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, and the Democratic platform, and their presumptive nominee Hillary Clinton. And I'll also be doing one where I talk about various candidates and political platforms very soon. So stay tuned for that. And I'm out of here. Deuces.